What if I told you one of the greatest television series ever made almost never happened? That its very first episode was overshadowed by one of the biggest news stories in modern history. That its most famous feature, the Blue Police Box, only stayed that way because the BBC couldn't afford to change it. And after becoming one of the world's most beloved science fiction shows, it quietly disappeared from television for 16 years. Today we're taking an honest look at the incredible story of Doctor Who. How it began, why it ended in 1989, how fans kept it alive, and the amazing behind-the-scenes stories that even longtime fans may not know. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's step inside the TARDIS. Welcome back to Roy's Talk of the Town. A show nobody expected to last. In the early 1960s, the BBC had a problem. Saturday evenings had a gap between children's programming and the evening entertainment. They wanted something that families could watch together. The solution was an educational adventure series. Canadian-born television executive Sidney Newman wanted a program that could make history and science exciting for young viewers. His only real rule was that there should be no bug-eyed monsters. Ironically, Doctor Who had become famous for exactly that. Producer Verity Lambert, only 27 years old, was chosen to bring the project to life. At a time when very few women held senior production roles in television, it was a bold decision. Many inside the BBC doubted she could pull it off. She proved them wrong. The first episode aired on November 23, 1963. Unfortunately, the previous day, President John F. Kennedy had been assassinated. News coverage dominated television, and Doctor Who's debut received little attention. Thankfully, the BBC repeated the episode the following week. This time, audiences found it, and television history began. Hashtag the first Doctor William Hartnell became the first Doctor. Originally, the Doctor wasn't written as the warm, heroic character we know today. He was mysterious, sometimes grumpy, often impatient, and occasionally difficult. But as the series developed, viewers discovered his compassion beneath the rough exterior. But as traveling with his granddaughter Susan and two school teachers, Ian and Barbara, the Doctor explored history, distant worlds, and the future itself. No one involved imagined they were creating Britain's longest-running science fiction series. The Daleks changed everything. Only a few weeks into the show's run came a story that changed everything. The Daleks. Created by writer Terry Nation and designed by Raymond Cusick, these strange creatures inside armored travel machines became an overnight sensation. Children across Britain couldn't stop talking about them. Their famous cry of "exterminate" became part of popular culture. Stores sold out of Dalek toys. The press called it Dalek mania. Ironically, Sidney Newman had originally disliked the idea of monster stories. The monsters saved the show. The series developed. Viewers discovered his compassion beneath the rough exterior. The brilliant idea that saved Doctor Who, by 1966, William Hartnell's health was making production increasingly difficult. Most television shows would simply replace the lead actor or end completely. Instead, the writers came up with a revolutionary solution. The Doctor would regenerate. His appearance would change, his personality would change, but deep inside he would still be the same person. Patrick Troughton became the second Doctor. Without realizing it, Doctor Who had invented one of television's greatest storytelling devices. Today, regeneration is one of the defining features of the series. The truth behind the TARDIS. Now let's talk about television's most famous blue box. The TARDIS was designed to blend into its surroundings using a chameleon circuit. But after arriving in 1963 London, it became stuck as a police box. There's a practical reason for that. The BBC simply couldn't afford to redesign the exterior every episode. What started as a budget limitation became one of television's most recognizable icons. Even the unforgettable TARDIS sound was created using simple techniques. BBC radiophonic workshop engineer Brian Hodgson produced the effect by scraping a house key along the strings of a broken piano and manipulating the recording. Sometimes creativity beats a big budget. Making the impossible possible looking back today, classic Doctor Who can seem charmingly homemade. Wobbly walls, visible zippers on monster costumes, alien planets built inside small television studios. But that's exactly why many fans still love it. The production team achieved remarkable things with very little money. Old radios became spaceship controls. Kitchen utensils became futuristic technology. Plastic tubing, scrap metal, and everyday household items became aliens. Instead of relying on expensive visual effects, Doctor Who relied on imagination, and audiences happily filled in the gaps. The golden years throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, Doctor Who reached audiences around the world. Jon Pertwee introduced more action. Tom Baker became, for many people, the definitive Doctor. His long scarf, booming voice, and eccentric personality turned him into an international icon. Peter Davison brought youthful energy. Colin Baker remains one of the series' most debated Doctors. Sylvester McCoy gradually transformed the Doctor into a darker, more mysterious character. Each actor brought something unique while keeping the heart of the character intact. Why Doctor Who ended by the late 1980s, television had changed dramatically. Audiences expected bigger productions and more impressive special effects. Unfortunately, Doctor Who's budget hadn't kept pace. Behind the scenes, there were also tensions within BBC management. Some executives believed the series had run its course. The show was moved to less favorable time slots and often competed against popular programs on other channels. Ratings declined. In 1989, after the story's survival, production quietly stopped. There was no dramatic farewell, no official cancellation announcement saying the show would never return. It simply disappeared. For fans, it was heartbreaking. The 16-year wait. Although Doctor Who vanished from television, it never truly died. Fans kept the series alive through novels, magazines, conventions, and audio dramas. In 1996, a television movie starring Paul McGann introduced a new Doctor. Although many fans enjoyed his performance, the movie failed to launch a new television series. Once again, Doctor Who seemed destined to remain in the past. The return nobody saw coming. In 2005, everything changed. Writer Russell T Davies convinced the BBC it was time to bring the Doctor back. Christopher Eccleston became the 9th Doctor. The revival was an enormous success. Soon came David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, and Ncuti Gatwa. Soon came Doctor Who had found a whole new generation of fans. Today, it remains one of Britain's most recognizable television exports. Things many fans never knew here are a few fascinating facts. Many early episodes were erased by the BBC because videotape was expensive and storage space was limited. Thankfully, some missing episodes have been recovered from broadcasters overseas. Others survive only as audio recordings. The famous Doctor Who theme wasn't played by a traditional orchestra. It was created electronically by the BBC Radiophonic Workshop, making it one of television's first electronic theme tunes. And perhaps the biggest surprise of all, no one involved in 1963 expected Doctor Who to last more than a season or two. More than 60 years later, it's still traveling through time. E. David Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi, Jodie Whittaker, and Ncuti Gatwa. Doctor Who has never been the biggest budget science fiction series. It has never relied on flashy effects alone. Instead, it succeeds because of its imagination, its optimism, its humor, its belief that intelligence, kindness, and courage matter more than violence. That simple idea has carried one traveler in a blue police box across generations of viewers, and perhaps that's the greatest adventure of all. Who was your very first Doctor? Was it William Hartnell, Tom Baker, David Tennant, Matt Smith, or someone else? I genuinely love to hear your stories, so let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this look back at one of television's greatest adventures, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to Roy's Talk of the Town, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the stories that shaped our world. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, stay curious, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.